Hey everyone, it's Wally from Supreme Gecko. No Nanette. This is Lunch with Wally, where you get to watch me eat food. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting? You get to watch me eat food. So hopefully I don't dribble all over my The Podfather shirt. It's been a long time since I've worn this shirt. A long time. Thank you everyone for joining us today. This is going to be probably a half-hour show, 45 minutes show, somewhere around there. Hi, Randa. Thanks for joining us. I'm just looking at the notes here. So Jen has construction going on. I can't even imagine that. Oh my gosh. Frank says that I'm eating waffles and eggs. Nope, not even close. Not even close. I had waffles on our very first show just to go the waffle way. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Hopefully everybody can see the show so far. Somebody said sugar something. Complete sugar coma or go on an elf rampage. One or the other. Elf rampage. I wonder what that looks like. Do we sound okay? Let me know. 2 hours late, Bryce. No, you're right on time. This is exactly it. Am I 2 hours late? Hi, Susie Q. How are you doing? Glad to see you in the chat. It's always nice to see you joining us. How are the fish doing? If you notice behind me, and I'm trying to hide it so nobody can see it, but if you notice behind me, the fish tank is like maybe 70% full. What does that mean? It means that I'm completely redoing our fish room. Completely. So over the last 6-7 months or so, we've really been distracted with the geckos. Way distracted, unfortunately. Thank you, Frank, for sharing the link. Very, very distracted with geckos because we have lots and lots and lots of geckos going on right now. Lots of baby crested geckos, lots of baby rare geckos, meli. Oh my gosh, so many. Hemidactylus. I'm getting some Odora, velvet geckos from Australia, little babies, robustus from behind me. We have 3 babies downstairs, so I'm very, very excited about that. I got my original trio from Ryan McVeigh, if you know Ryan McVeigh, and gosh, that was probably 7 years ago or so, and they just kind of sat there, fed, no babies, no eggs, but it was not until like this year that I really set them up for breeding purposes. Yeah, I know that's kind of a waste to go 7 years without getting babies from such a great animal. Bryce, they have, Kagarai have laid eggs. I don't have any babies from them just yet. Monoliths, same thing, just the Robusta. So Robustus. So I'm excited about the velvets. I just saw your note and I didn't have time to reply back, but it sounds like you're getting some really super nice velvets, and that's exciting. So I went into the Robustus enclosure today and I found this. I haven't taken a bite of lunch yet. You have to guess what I'm. Leave a comment. What am I having for lunch? Can you see that, folks? Hopefully you can see that. I thought that was really cool. So here I am touching gecko shed, and I'll wipe my hands real quick here. But I thought this was super cool. This is a Robustus shed. I just thought that was super cool. Almost fully intact. I think we're missing some arms there, but I thought that was super cool. Wipe my hands down. Lots going on in the gecko room, like I mentioned before. Lots of babies, lots of eggs. We put up a new rack. I'll have a video on that new rack probably in a week or two. We'll see how it goes. I haven't done gecko or isopod videos in a long time. So I think it's about time that I do an isopod or a gecko video. We had some cool geckos about 2 or 3 weeks ago at the Schaumburg show. I haven't shown them off just yet. Those are some pretty cool animals. I'm very fortunate to get some of these. So yeah, maybe I'll eat the fish. Maybe I've eaten the fish. I'm rambling today for some reason. So the fish, like I mentioned before, anybody guess what I'm having for lunch? Waffles and eggs. Nope, not waffles and eggs. Hey, Droll, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us. So today for lunch, I am having a turkey sandwich with some sun chips And man, I tell you, I am boring because this is one of my favorite lunches, and I have it like every other day. And some cherry yogurt. Super, super easy. And I just love a lunch that's pretty simple to make and simple to chow down. Fish and isopods. So I feel like I've put them on the back burner. I apologize for everybody that is an isopod fan jumping in here. I haven't done any isopod videos for a while. Probably this week, probably next week. The fish, I'm probably down for the fish for probably another, I don't know, week or so. It's just been packed with activities. And this is our slow month, actually, because we only have one show. One weekend will be taken up. After that, I think we have shows for like 5 weeks in a row. And after that, we start right in with the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas. 12 Supreme Days of Christmas. Thanks, Stroth. I think I'll have one. Unfortunately, I don't have anybody here to take the mic when I'm crunching away at my sun chips. So, lots of shows coming up. 12 Supreme Days of Christmas. If you haven't ever been in the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas, if you haven't joined us, if you haven't participated, you have to. I'm hoping this year we have a couple of different changes that you guys will like. I hope that we'll be doing some fun things that are fun, that even if you don't win, and we have a lot of gifts. Last year, I think we had 151 gifts, 155, something like that. $33,000 worth of donations that everybody came in and donated. Oh my gosh, it was so crazy. So hopefully we get close to that this year. I wouldn't be surprised if we went over the $20,000 mark. It's crazy to even think about how big this event has become. Just crazy. Weather. I tell you what, folks, because it was so warm downstairs, the crested geckos just exploded on us this year. We had some great temperatures. We tried to keep the air conditioning off as long as we possibly could. And then once we turned it on, it kind of cooled everything down. But I tell you, we got lots and lots and lots of eggs from crested geckos. Now that the temperature is cooling down, I say that, but yesterday was like 85, 86 degrees. I think outside now it's 79 degrees. How is the temperature in your area? How are you dealing with temperatures? And I'm going to take a bite while you guys comment on that. You know, maybe I shouldn't take a whole bite of a sandwich. Like, no, I'm just filling my mouth with sandwich. Droth is asking, do you take donations from anybody if someone has extra isopods or anything? We do, for the most part. 96 degrees. Holy cow. Yeah, we're finally cooling down. I'm thankful for that. We held back a lot of our animals this week for shipment so that we could ship out next week. Because it was so warm. So I'm hoping everything gets out next week. Still in the hundreds. Oh my gosh. AC is set at 77. I think that's what we set our AC at, so it doesn't get too cool. Shannon, just checking in while I pack up outgoing shipments for today. I was just mentioning we are holding all of our shipments this week simply because it was so warm. Also, going to be 112. You live on the equator? I don't understand 112. Unfathomable to me. So we're fortunate in Wisconsin that we have fairly good weather in the spring, summer, or spring and fall. We have a large shipping window. It's only about probably 3, 4, 5 weeks in the summer that we can't ship. But in the winter, that's when it gets kind of tricky, and we usually have 2 or 3 weeks or windows, I should say, in the winter when we can pack everything up and ship out. We've shipped hundreds of boxes, on open windows in the winter where people have, very fortunate for us, they've allowed us to hold their shipments until we have a window of good weather where we can ship out. I wanted to mention today's topic. Again, I'm rambling all over the place, so I'm going to get back to growth in just a second. Today's topic is, let me see if I could do this. Today's topic is, hopefully everybody can see that. Today's topic is, have you ever made any big mistakes with your hobby? Now, that's obviously a lead-in for something that I did recently, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. Big mistake. What is it? The movie Pretty Woman, where she walks into the store after the store kicked her out because she didn't look appropriately dressed, and she was ready to buy all kinds of dresses and everything. She walks out. She goes to another store. She buys a lot of stuff. Goes back into that store and says, "Do you work on commission?" And the girl said, "Yeah, we do." And she held up all of the thousands and thousands of dollars that she bought. She goes, "Big mistake. Huge." Well, I made one. Sounds good, Susie? I made one recently, and I'm going to talk about it in just a second. I made one recently. I made one, let's see, today's Wednesday. I made one Monday night, Tuesday morning, and not good. Not good at all. Okay, I'm going to go back to Droth real quick here. Can I find it? Droth was asking if we take in donations, different animals, and we usually do. Now, sometimes we'll look at the donations, and if it's something like 10 powder blue isopods, it's kind of hard for us to take in donations like that. And actually, Reptile Supplies is better than animals, but we do absolutely take in a lot of isopod donations and a lot of animal donations. So looking forward to the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas. I need it to be cooled down since I have duckies ordered. Excellent. Fantastic. Duckies coming in. Okay, Bryce is saying I've gotten eggs from Congaree, but I'm not sure if they are good yet. And I still can't find a female for any of my Robusta. That's unfortunate. Keep me posted, Bryce, if you can't find a female. I'm a long ways out from having, males or females that I know of for my Robustas, the babies that just hatched out. So we'll see how that goes. So I want to know from you guys, have you made any mistakes in your reptile keeping that is like, boy, that wasn't a good thing. Why did I do something like that? And be honest, this is no judgment at all, because I tell you what I did yesterday was maybe a topper. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've been keeping geckos for, over 20 years. So, and I'm very transparent about this. I tell you my mistakes when I make them. It is what it is. And I tell mistakes. I'm very transparent with this because I'm hoping that you as a keeper can learn from that, can take that in, understand, what I did, laugh at me a little bit, and then maybe not make the mistake yourself. So that's why I'm kind of transparent with all of this. Ghouls and geckos. One of my mistakes would be buying animals I wasn't passionate about just because they were trending at the moment. What a great comment. DNA Geckos, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us. Who else has ever made that mistake? It's like, oh my gosh, look at the pretty pictures on Instagram. I love that gecko or whatever, a snake or whatever, chameleon. Oh my gosh, they're so cool. I want those. And you go out to Morph Market or wherever, and you find a classified, or their store. You see somebody with a nice animal listed on their store, and you buy it right away. But then you get them in, and you're not passionate about keeping the animals. We were in that situation many, many years ago when we bought into bearded dragons. We bred them, and we had tons and tons and tons of babies, selling so much at reptile shows. We were selling bearded dragons all over the place. But they were more for the three boys as they were mid-teens. But as they grew up, they got interested in girls. They got interested in cars. And because of that, they didn't spend any time with the bearded dragons. And I found myself working on the bearded dragons absolutely the last thing that I would do downstairs. I didn't have the passion, kept them for maybe another year, and they were actually selling as much in our facility as any other animal. We were doing really well with them, but it wasn't a passion, so we booted them. So ghouls and geckos, let me know what animal that you purchased that just wasn't a passionate buy for you. And again, this is not judgmental at all. We've all done that. And I'm going to tell you a story of what I did recently, yesterday, Monday, Tuesday morning. Not a good thing. Okay. Bryce is saying a couple years ago, I left 2 hatching crested gecko tubs open for a night. I found one a couple feet away in the bottom of a bucket full of fake plants. Been there, done it. Had the same, we'll go through the same thing, doors not closed, something like that. It just happens. If you have more than 1 or 2 or 3 enclosures, you're just going to have that situation. And the other was across the room inside a fish tank, chilling on a stick that came out of the water. Holy cow, that's kind of scary. Good that you found them both. That's super cool. How's everything going, Steve-O? What's for lunch, Wally? I'm too busy blabbing to eat, but I have a turkey sandwich and sun chips and cherry yogurt. Doesn't that sound exciting? What's everybody having for lunch? Are you here just to listen to me blab, or are you having some lunch there? Let me know what you're having for lunch. Oh, crustaceans and gargoyles. So ghouls and geckos, what is your passion right now for geckos? I love crested geckos. I love the morphs. I love the traits. I love a lot of things about the crested geckos. We're doing crested geckos like crazy right now. Gargoyles as well. I think we have like 50 baby gargoyles downstairs. Anyways, my passion, absolutely, my fire that gets me up every single morning is the micro geckos, the Peridor picta, the Australian geckos, Hemidactylus, Pachydaktylus, anything like that. That's the passion, and that's what gets me up. But as we're working with those animals, we're also working with their crested gargoyles and leopards. They're super cool, but I wouldn't say they're not my passion. They're just they're fun to work with, but I work on my other animals first, if that makes sense. I missed a couple of messages here. Robert, how you doing? What's for lunch? I have a turkey sandwich that I've taken 1 bite out of because I bit too much and I filled my mouth and then I couldn't talk for 2 minutes. Sun chips and a cherry yogurt. Cherry yogurt. Love cherry yogurt. I like the yogurt with the pieces in there. It's like a kind of a surprise. Cool. So you found the geckos. Everything's cool. So not too bad of a mistake. So Jen Lee is saying, boy, I keep doing that. I keep scrolling down too far. Jen Lee is saying coffee for me. It's still early. Yeah. I had finished up, I think, 4 cups of coffee this morning. So I'm kind of wired right now. Steve is saying, today's going well. I'm literally reorganizing, everything. Got a new shelf, swapping some tables, trying not to blow out my back and take it slow. Good for you. Yeah, watch your back. Once it goes, it goes. My back went out when I was probably about 28 or so, and it was a done deal for me. What is your favorite crested gecko morph, Wally? My favorite I'm going to say trait. Because the morphs I'm not too much into, the lily whites, the axanthic. Love the darker crested geckos, but I guess for me, if I were to say one trait that is right at the top, it would be a red Harley with the reddest red and the whitest white. The whitest white. That's my favorite crested gecko. Strophoris, Chewies, and Odura. So help me here with this. Bryce, ghouls and geckos, is it Oedura or is it Odura? Which one is it? What do you say when you say their names? And DNA geckos. A week ago, I caught a crested gecko hatching. We're talking about mistakes that we've made in the hobby. And I'm going to tell you what mistake I made a couple of days ago. And it was a biggie. It was a doozy. DNA geckos. A week ago, I caught a crested gecko hatching, set up cameras, started recording with lid off while I was cleaning out the tanks. Looked back a few minutes later and the baby was gone. Took 3 hours to find it. 3 hours to find a baby crested gecko. I can see that because they scamper and they're just teeny tiny and they can hide under anything. Glad that you found it, DNA geckos. Very glad that you found it. And again, that's a mistake we all make, that where we open a enclosure. I found one of these behind me open the other day. Just a little crack. So I'd shut it, but I must have had the latch closed. So when I shut it, there was just a tiny, maybe a 1/4 inch gap. Well, the gecko got out. I found it the next day, luckily. So no big hurt there. Steve was saying, I've been up since 5 a.m. here and it's now 12:30. It's been a productive last few days. Cool. Do any of you have any animal secrets you're keeping from us? So if you know Andrew from DEA Exotics, he keeps telling me that I have all kinds of secrets here at Supreme Gecko. I have nothing that's secret, nothing. Other than the secret that I did have a couple of weeks ago was I was in the middle of, a couple of weeks ago, a month and a half ago, I was in the middle of producing and putting together, I think it's 15 or 16 new products for the store. And I had some people asking me about that, and I wouldn't say anything about it until I could do the launch. And that was the Monday Marathon, where we announced the new products and we announced the special 45% discount for Buy Me a Coffee members. So that was kind of a secret. If you ask me questions about animals, I am an open book. I am transparent. I keep saying that, but I am transparent, and I'll tell you anything that you want to know about animals. And I'll tell you the good things and the bad things that I've done with animals. In the video that we put out yesterday with Bill Stewart, and if you haven't watched that, watch that. The girls, granddaughters, 2 of our granddaughters, held snakes and tortoises and all kinds of animals. Nanette, I'm not going to say, boy, it's just now raining out here. It is really coming down. So hopefully we don't lose connection here because of the storm coming through. But yesterday's video, listen to all that Bill does. He is so involved. Bill Stewart from WPS Reptiles does so much in the reptile community. It's just a blast to listen to all the things that he does. And he doesn't explain everything that he's doing. But in there, he mentioned just real briefly that when we first met, he was surprised how open I was with the gecko information. And it's not about, me at all. It's more about helping other people in the community keep their animals the best that they possibly can. Bomb Reptiles, thanks for joining us, Bomb. We have 15 people watching. Let's go ahead and hit that like button. I've just started working on one of my wish list species, which is tokays. Can't wait to start breeding them. Tokays. So are you doing the turquoise blues and the pure whites and all the fancy dancy colors? Because they are hot in the hobby right now. Not what's for lunch. Not what's for lunch. What is lunch? I only get 1 meal a day. That's funny. That's a shame. I think your wife needs to feed you more than just one meal a day. Jen says, with me, 5 a.m. is way too early for me. I'm kind of a nocturnal. I go kind of both ways with that. I'm up a lot at 5 a.m. just kind of thinking through things. I just get up. I wake up, I think through, I can't go back to sleep, and I start just working on the computer. Life with your legs, not your back. Lift with your life with your legs. Lift with your legs, not your back. My back is train wreck. I have about 7 things wrong with it. Oh my gosh, that's so hard. Be careful. So I wimped out years and years ago when I hurt my back and I just stopped lifting. I used to do a lot of aquarium stuff, and I'd throw a 50-pound bag of gravel on my shoulder and carry it up the stairs, down the stairs. I don't lift 20 pounds anymore. My back is so messed up. Okay, so, here we go. So Ghouls and Geckos is saying OE Dura for me. Bryce, what do you say? Is it OE Dura? I'm kind of scrolling on here. Losing a reptile is unsat, not acceptable, and shows you have a lot more to learn. This coming from someone who lost a gecko a few months ago. And that's true, but sometimes just, I won't say the word, but stuff happens. Stuff happens. And I try to be as careful. Oh my gosh, the thunder. I try to be as absolutely careful as I possibly can, but I have to say that sometimes when we set up these enclosures here, I put day geckos, small day geckos in, gold dust, latticata in, and this and that, and morning geckos. I don't think the morning geckos went in right away, but I forgot that I had pulled these things in from downstairs, and they were set up with a misting system downstairs, and they had little holes in the top. Yes, Steve. Unacceptable, absolutely, because I had a day gecko get out and absolutely walked in the next morning. It was sitting right on the wall, luckily. Anyways, unacceptable, 100%. Does it happen? 100%. Okay, Bryce is saying, "Oh, Dura." That's what I say too. Robert's saying, "I haven't lost a gecko yet, but have had a tiny baby corn snake got out for a few days, and we didn't know it. I did a video of us looking for it. It happens. No secrets exactly. What someone with secrets would say. What? No secrets. Do I have any secrets? I'm going to have to think about that. If you catch me with a secret and you find out that I'm doing something I haven't told you, it's probably because you didn't ask, Steve-O. Love you, man. Nanette touches something. Oh, Nanette touched something. Yes, watch that video with Bill Stewart. Bill's Excellent Adventures. Anybody get that? Is when I put the title on that video, I thought, oh, this is so cool and it's so smart and it's so catchy. And then after I published it, it was like, nobody's going to get this. Nobody's going to get what Bill's Excellent Adventures are. I'm way behind on the comments here, folks. I have to tell my story of what I did wrong the last couple of days, and you will not believe it. It sounds like we finally have a male coming in this weekend that for that awesome female monolith that 5-0 got from you. They should be ready to pair next season. Very cool. Very cool. Torn on this, but me worrying. Oh, I'm sorry. DNA geckos. Torn on this, but me worrying about the future stopped me from pairing animals. Realizing now that playing I've been sense safe all the time will end up never moving forward. Yeah, playing the safe route will always end up in more or less a stagnant situation. You got to throw it out there once in a while. Thanks for joining us. Okay. Oh, my ISO gods, I found so much moss and have been soaking, then drying it the last 2 days. It's been amazing. And I found a massive patch of liverwort I'm going to try to propagate. Very cool. I love your videos when you're walking out and you're finding stuff in the wild. I am so behind on comments here. I didn't even know if Wally knows who I am on this one. Oh! How come, Ian, how come you change your name every 3 seconds? Okay, Wally, it's Ian at I think that's Alimony Hobbies. Alimony Hobbies. I know. That's your Instagram. I swear I cannot keep up with. So Ian Polka and Artificer Geckos and Alimony Hobbies and Wally, Supreme Gecko. Oh, I guess, the Podfather too, I'm known as, but giving you a heck. Ghouls and Geckos. Bryce, that is awesome to hear. Glad it all worked out. Sivo, I'm learning literally every day how to be a better person in hobbies. We all should be doing this. Absolutely. I say this all the time. Come to my channel, learn from me, because if anybody's ever made a mistake, it's me. If you want to learn something of how not to do something, come here on this channel and learn. Trying to fix my sleeping schedule now. Being in hospital for a month in 2021 really messed up my brain. Being poked and picked. I can't imagine that. That's nuts. It's taken that long to get back in a schedule. I tell you what, if I'm up for a long time, weird schedule, it takes me like one day and I'm sleeping like a log. Okay, I'm just really behind here. Okay, Niker is putting a new gas line in our house. Niker, because the original layout from eons ago is weird. All of our animals are hunkered down. Yeah, that's kind of a scary kind of a thing, isn't it? Okay, Ian is saying I'm converting everything to the business name. So you should do a TikTok video with you changing logos, and the background song should be that it's about darn time. Frank says hit that button. Hit that like button. I am caught up. I can take a bite here, folks, and I'm going to tell you what I messed up, and you can tell me. This is going to be hard because there's going to be some people that will go, yeah, that's a big mess up, Wally. Okay. Frank is saying past Wally updates are short. Did anyone see it before the stream started? I forgot about that. So I have a new scheduler that I can do these shorts. I can do the videos. I can do pictures, and I can batch them up on a Saturday and Sunday, and then they just post throughout the week. It saves me so much time. I'm trying more and more and more to find more efficient ways to do what I'm doing so that I can spend more time in the geckos and less time online. I love talking to people, and I love answering questions, but this old helmet, is it like a helmeted gecko? Strap on spelled backwards is no parts. Okay, oops, missed it. So Steve was saying, I think I've learned more from people sharing mistakes and things like that than people sharing what to do instead. So that's a great point. So if I have a new gecko and I don't know anything about the gecko at all, or anything, if I just mentioned this tool that I use for posting, I'll go on sites all over the place and I'll look for how to do it. And then I'll start looking at it. And if I have a mistake, then I'll go online and I'll find out how to fix this. But you're right. The best way for me to learn is actually, for me personally, is making a mistake. And, if I make a mistake, it's not going to happen. Usually it doesn't happen again. Frank is saying, didn't even type past YouTube acting weird again. That's what I say too. When I do something like that, that's what I say. Oh, YouTube, weird thing. Okay. DNA geckos. I'm still in the beginning, but when first getting into the hobby, I was much more judgmental toward others, different practices I didn't exactly agree with. It's hard. DNA, that, 100% hats off to you for saying that, because it's hard. It's hard not to be judgmental. And you go through this process where you start learning something, and then you feel, I'm a hero. I know what I'm doing. I've hatched out. I've bred. I've hatched out. And somebody says something contrarian to that belief or what you've done. It's hard not to be judgmental. Hard. I have a couple of mentors that I look up to that are super not judgmental, and they always ask questions. So somebody will keep a leopard gecko over sand and say, I had all kinds of success here. And they won't say, oh, you shouldn't keep leopard geckos over sand and packs are killing your animals. So they'll come back and say, have you read this article? Have you checked this out? What are your feelings? So they go through that, just double check. Are you sure that's what you want to do? Alimony hobbies. I hope I'm saying that right, because I'm sure that I am not. I have a big nose. I have a formula I follow when I get new geckos. I follow absolutely. So especially, I'm sure, Ian, if you're going into a new gecko like micro geckos, Ligodactylus, Spirodactylus, you're going to follow a couple of people that are keeping those types of geckos and learn as much as you absolutely can. I've got to tell my story here. It's coming up in a second. I'm Abdul Hack. So I have no idea if I'm saying that right. Big nose. Do I have a big nose, folks? Maybe. Steve was saying it reminds him of the Weird Al Yankovic song. Okay, cool. My story. So here we go, folks. So tell me if this is kind of like this is really weird, Wally. Why are you telling this story or not? It was Monday, I think. We fed crusted geckos. We pulled, and it was hectic, and all day long. Monday being the holiday and all, we had people coming over. So we're downstairs. Nanette and I came down after I started quite a ways into it, and I had started. She helped. We fed all the geckos, babies and adults. I don't even know how many enclosures. 300. I have to count. Fed all the crusted geckos, and what we do is we pull the hide boxes. We put them aside so that once we're done feeding them, we go back and we can put the eggs into hatching trays. So, oh no, you're not being mean at all. Is it? I just can't get a good angle. I can't get the Pinocchio. Angle. Talk into the mic instead of away from it. So we've got all of these. I think we had 8 or 9 hatch boxes, lay boxes set aside to put away the eggs. And we had company. And literally, the doorbell rang as we finished up, so we had to go. We had dinner all scheduled. So yeah, well, I'll get these tomorrow. So I left the. Steve says I have big ears. I don't know about that. I'll have to see your videos. So we've got these hatch boxes, these lay boxes with, I can't remember if it was 8 or 9. And it's kind of slowing down a little bit because, and maybe it's because we collected eggs middle of last week, but usually we'll get about 20 sets of eggs every single time we collect, which is, a couple of times a week. That's a lot of crusted geckos. So anyways, so we've got 8 or 9 boxes sitting there, and I left them on my rolling cart in my adult crusted gecko room, not in the daycare area, if you know our setup. Left them there and said, I'll get them tomorrow morning. So I went down the next morning, Tuesday morning, and I did this and I did that, and I washed dishes. Washing dishes yesterday took me probably about 3 hours of washing dishes, folks. 3 hours of washing dishes. We moved a lot of enclosure, so I think I cleaned out probably about 30 or 40 tubs, and then had stacks of the crusted gecko diet dishes to wash, and it was just a long time. Anyways, got back to putting away the crusted gecko eggs and opened the first box. And what we usually do here is we'll open a crusted gecko enclosure, and we'll put the food in, we'll put water in their dish. Yeah, Frank, it is the worst. Sorry, I'm not keeping up with the chat. I want to finish the story so you can kind of laugh at me. So we'll put in the food, fill up the water dish, we'll pick up the hide, and we'll open it up, and we'll kind of root around. I don't want to do it down there. So we'll root around. We'll kind of comb through the substrate, the peat moss or whatever we're using for the laying material. We'll root around and find eggs. And what we'll do is we'll put the eggs right up on top, so we know, that we found 1 or 2 or whatever. And I always double check before we close up the lay box and put it away again. But went through, and very first box that I picked up, it's like, well, that's kind of weird. The eggs aren't on top. And I opened it up, and no eggs. Rooting around, no eggs. No, why aren't there any eggs in this box? That's kind of strange. Bomb, I'm going to get back to that in just a second. So, because that's a pretty good question for everybody. So, put it aside, ready to put back into the crested gecko enclosure. I don't like to leave the hide boxes out a day, just for the humidity and hydration purposes. But put it aside, open the next one up. No eggs. Now, I'll make a mistake and maybe hold a hide box aside, thinking that there's eggs in there, and there's not. Doesn't happen that often, maybe a couple of times a year that I'll do something like that, but doesn't happen that often, folks. And here, no eggs in 2 in a row. Something fishy is going on. Something wacky is going on. So opened up the next one, eggs, put them away. Opened up the next one, no eggs. No. So out of the, I'm going to say we had, I think, 9 hides. Only 3 had eggs. What do you think happened, folks? Downstairs in my facility, only 3 containers. I'm going to let everybody try to guess what happened while I take a bite here. 3 containers had eggs, and 9 of them did not. 9 of them did not. 6 of them. Let me do the math. Okay, we have 9 minus 3. That would be 6. So we had 6 containers with no eggs whatsoever. What do you think happened? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? What happened? How did those 6 eggs go missing? And it wasn't that Nanette went through and put some of them away or didn't. Something else fishy was going on. Fishy, he says. Fishy? It wasn't fishy. Something happened. What do you think, folks? Anybody with a guess? And I tell you what, I hate admitting this, but it is what it is. And I've since taken appropriate steps. Anyone have a guess? I'm going to tell you in just a second here. I'm going to take another bite of my sun chip. Crunch it right into the mic. This is fun video right here. Me eating, not saying anything. Anybody guessing? Nobody's guessing. So here's what happened. I hate even doing this during lunch. This is kind of gross, but here's what happened when I looked at the cart. This is a big cart. It's almost as big as my. Bryce, you are that close, because it was not a cat. We don't have cats. We have one dog. The dog didn't. So there wasn't like hide material all over this rolling cart, but there was a big deli cup, not a dog, because there would have been stuff all over the place. And I would have known it right away. There would have been hide material all over the cart, all over the floor. There would have been tipped over containers. You guys are super close, though. Think about that for a second. You're going to guess it before I even say it. Now that you're kind of on the right track. I looked at the cart. Here's a big deli cup. Has mealworms in it, because sometimes we'll grab a handful of mealworms when we're feeding, and I had fed earlier in the day to a couple of racks of geckos, and I had probably 2 dozen mealworms still in the deli cup. So I take a crusted gecko dish and I just put it right over the top with dried crusted gecko, and they just devour it. So it works out really well. So that mealworms ate it. No, not quite. Not quite. There was a gecko in one of the lay boxes and got out and tipped them all over. Nope. Good. These are super guesses. But you guys are on kind of the right track here. Not a gecko, not mealworms, not a cat, not a dog. So I looked at the mealworm container, and no, it wasn't a ghost. It was not a ghost. And here's the mealworm container, and the mealworms are all, under the dish and everything. But on the rolling cart, on the top of the rolling cart, are carcasses of the mealworms. Waffles the elf. Right, that's exactly what it was. On the rolling cart were carcasses, just remains, those little rings from mealworms. What is that called? Crichton. The outside of the mealworms just scattered. Probably it looked like maybe 2 or 3 of the mealworms were eaten as well. A couple of the mealworms were eaten as well. So here's my theory, and I have corrective measures in place right now. Nobody's saying it yet. I'm shocked. I think, and the rolling cart was right next to another rack. I think a mouse climbed up. Mice? I'm going to say one mouse. No, Bryce. Did you get mouse before I said it? I think you did, because I think that Nanette. No, it was not Nanette. I think you said it before I said it, because there's probably about a 9 or 10 second delay here between YouTube and StreamYard. I bet you. Did you say it, Bryce, before I said it? So a mouse got in. I did. Good job. Good job. So I think a mouse got in and ate an egg and ate another egg and another, and polished off 12 eggs. 12 eggs, folks. So the emotions going through that are, what the heck is going on? There's got to be a reason here. So it goes from confused to analytical. There's got to be something going on here, to frustration. I just lost 12, geckos. I just lost 12 geckos. And who knows about the patterns and everything. One of them could have been really super, super nice. To frustration, to anger, back to confusion, back to there's got to be something. What's going on? And I saw the little carcasses of the mealworms. It's like, crud. Now, have we ever had mice downstairs before? It's been a long time. And usually what happens is it's like in November, December, when it gets cold outside, someone will leave the top off of one of the bird seed containers, and a mouse will get in there and find their way downstairs somehow. So I think a mouse came in and ate all of my gecko eggs, well, almost all of them, and that is frustrating. So I tell you what, folks, people, mistakes are made. I should have put those eggs away, and I obviously I will in the future, that same day. But again, measures have been taken to try to alleviate this problem in the future. So that's my transparent look at the mistake I did. And, it is what it is. Mice can get into your house and take something down. Oh my gosh, DNA. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not going to say it, man. So we have these trays of crusted geckos. And right now we have 2 columns of probably about 6 trays each filled with crusted geckos. And every day I'll move all of those trays, and gosh, I can't even imagine. We have trays of Periodora picta eggs. We have trays of leopard gecko eggs. Wow. I'm not going to say anything, because I'm going to jinx myself. I'm not going to say anything more about that. Also, a chance the mouse is carrying something and spreads it to the others. Right. So anything about mice or anything like that scares the bejeebers out of me. So, it is a case of the eggs, but it's a case, like you're saying, Frank, that you just don't want mice in your house. It's just kind of icky, gross. Yeah, I was sad at myself for a long time. Make a mistake. Here's my philosophy. If you're not doing things different, if you have mistakes, and if you're not having mistakes, then you're probably not doing things a little bit different. You're not progressing. This is a case where it happened, and it is what it is. Do that. Feel bad for yourself. Feel mad about yourself. But then get over it and start analyzing, how can I change? How can I do something different so this doesn't happen again? Don't dwell on it. There's no good in dwelling on something like that. Realize the mistake, admit, sit down and feel bad for yourself for a little bit, few minutes, get over it, move on, but keep that, stuck somewhere back here somewhere, and don't forget it so that you don't make the mistake again. That's the philosophy of Wally for Wednesday, the 6th. It is what it is. All right. My number 1 fear is poison. Yeah, we don't use poison around here. And obviously with the isopods, I'm not doing anything like that. That could have some kind of an aromatic kind of effect on the isopods. Who knows what it could have been? Well, hopefully we find out very soon, because I know that if it was one, it will be back. Okay. Steve was saying, what's that saying? An error is not a mistake until you refuse to correct it. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So there's my horror story of the last couple of days. There's my big mistake for the last couple of days. Did I feel bad about it? Was I angry about it? Yes. Did I put it behind me and move on? Yes. Did I share it with everybody so you guys can laugh at me? Yes. You have to. You have to. If you're doing anything and moving forward, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to learn from them, and you're just going to try not to make the same mistakes again. That's my thought for the day, and I'm sure that a lot of people in the chat here will say the same exact thing. It's hard seeing on social media where somebody makes a mistake and they just, down and on themselves. If you have the time to write it on Facebook that you did something and you're ashamed of it, or you're not letting it go, and you have the time to write it on Facebook, I feel like that's not a good outlet for issues like that. Move on. Okay. Any tips? I told you I wouldn't forget this. Any tips for getting rid of fruit flies? Yes. What we'll do is we'll hang the yellow strips. Now, I do have isopods, and we don't have fruit flies. We have more of the fungus gnats. So there's a couple of different things that you can do. You can put up a fan so that they can never really land anywhere. And I guess when you talk about fruit flies, let me jump back 2 steps. If you have fruit flies, it's because you have something moldy or molding or decaying, something somewhere, a potato, you're feeding your mealworms too much, you're feeding your crickets too much, your crickets are dying. Something is causing those fruit flies to be around somewhere. So, number 1, correct the issue. Take away whatever is sitting there that the fruit flies are attracted to. Correct that. Number 2, how do you get rid of the existing? Well, you can wait and they'll just go away. I don't like to do that. So, again, what you can do is put up the yellow fly strips. Be careful because, if you put them my feeling is if you're keeping isopods, you're putting them too close to the isopods, it's going to have some kind of an effect. So, keep them away from any invertebrates that you're dealing with. Another way is put up those, somebody help me here, catchies. On Amazon, you can go out and buy catchies. If you have the problem consistently, go out and get a couple of catchies and put them up. Otherwise, the yellow fly strips, use fans. Fans will decrease the number of flying insects that you have considerably. Okay. Excuse me. I remember when Wally had eggs all the way on top shelves in certain videos, and some leaning near edges that freaked me out. Yeah, freaked me out too. I hopefully have corrected that. And I don't know if they were ever, maybe they were leaning, maybe I missed it. Damn cat took out my cricket bin with 1,000 crickets. Forgot to snap the lid. Done it. But again, mistake, learn from it, and move forward. I got gnats like crazy right now. So try that DNA, see if there's something around the gnats. Are they gnats or are they fruit flies? If they're gnats, find out why you have a problem. If they're fruit flies, it's obvious, that you have something sitting around there. Maybe a sundew plant. It's hard because I don't know if sundew plants will keep up with the number sometimes that I hear people saying that of gnats that they have. I got gnats from a culture of aficionados. You're going to have gnats. If you keep isopods, you're just going to have them, whether you got them from somebody or not. Derek, I'm going to say it right here. And I said 45 minutes, but we're way over. So I'm going to keep going here. I'm not a believer in mosquito bits. I just am not. I'm not a believer in anything adding from a chemical standpoint. Somebody has to convince me I'm wrong, and maybe I am. But I just feel like mosquito bits are something that you might not need. And I know what they do. They attack the eggs or larvae, and that takes care of things that way. I just feel like you're good if you have isopods, if you're setting up new enclosures, you're going to have fungus gnats. So the best thing that we do is put up fans, and if that can't, it's bacterial. Yep, absolutely. If that doesn't take care of it, then we put up the yellow strips, and for a week, and then they're gone. Okay. Ian is saying put used Pangea in a cup of apple cider with a drop of dish soap up to the Pangea cup, cover with plastic wrap, poke small holes. Yep, and they'll be attractive. They'll be attracted to the mixture and be eliminated with the vinegar. It will eliminate 80% of your fly problem. Yep. If you go to mosquito ducks or bits, it's just corn husks with bacteria on it that prevent larvae from. Again, this goes back to, I'm showing you. This goes back to my fish care days where I just didn't like to solve one problem by introducing something else. And I don't know if that makes sense to anybody at all. Fungus gnats are very, very small, slower. Maybe they're not slower flies, but they don't seem to reproduce as quickly as fruit flies. But fruit flies are, they're looking for moldy, decaying kind of material. Fungus gnats are looking for, dirt, something, like people that do a lot of plants have fungus gnats often. I think DNA, what you're saying is that you might have gnats, not fruit flies. Yep. And you're right, Derek, you're absolutely right. It's not a chemical, it's a bacteria. Again, for me, it's just adding something to fix something else. It just seems to me, and if it works, I tell you what, folks, if it works for you, spot on, keep doing it. For me, it's just, I've never felt comfortable putting in the mosquito bits. Talked to Russ Wilson quite a bit about this. And there was a time where he was using them and then he stopped using them. He felt that there was some detrimental effects with using mosquito bits. That's what we're here for, man. Again, I'll say it over and over again. There is no judgmental thing here. This is, let's solve, if we have issues, let's solve it. Hey, Fish Plumber, thanks for joining us. We're just about ready to sign off here. Had some great comments. We've had some great conversation. I've taken 3 bites of my lunch, so I've got to get back to my lunch here. But Frank, with my setups, when the substrate matures, the fungus gnats usually go away. But since I always do new setups, I kind of always have them around. Absolutely. So again, that catchy is really, really good for them. And Derek is saying the mosquito bits, and I know mosquito bits have worked for people. If you have a healthy springtail colony, they can outcompete the gnats too. I have springtail colonies in every single one of my bins. I start off my bins. If I'm doing a new isopod enclosure, I'll start off with substrate from an older bin that's mature, bioactive. Bioactive doesn't mean just new isopods. It means the whole bioactive. So I'll start that off, and I still, setting up new enclosures for isopods, I'll still get fungus gnats occasionally. All right. You see my reptile room, all the plants make for lots of gnats. I put the cups in the plant pots. Cool. Oh, no worries at all. None at all. So mistakes, I'm going to say it again. Mistakes happen. It is what it is. We all make mistakes. Learn from them. Okay, I just try to up the quantity of springtails and lower humidity if possible. So I did a video on this. If you're getting, mold, I'll say mold. We're talking about gnats, but I'll talk about mold for a second. If you're getting mold that introduces other issues, if that's happening, then, there's too much humidity, you're feeding too much, you don't have enough animals in the enclosure, isopods in the enclosure, to take care of the food consumption. Food is going bad, and it's drawing in things that in nature take care of that decaying food. Droth says, I'm hoping as many springtails increase in the new tank, my gnats disappear too. Happened in my first tank, absolutely. And a lot of that is that the whole bioactive component, the bacterias are growing, and the bacterias are taking care of the food as much as the springtails and as much as the fungus gnats. Fungus gnats are there to drop their eggs and breed and establish themselves. And as your enclosure matures, the bioactive matures and becomes more active, and that takes care of a lot of these issues as well. Folks, we've been here for an hour. How do you like these lunches? Is this cool stuff? I think that in prior lunches, I've tried to focus on way too many things. So I think what I'm going to do for future lunches is focus on maybe one topic and just a chat about one topic. And we've had some great conversations here as well. And I really like today, as far as what we've talked about today, because this is what we want to do. Just kind of casually chat, maybe eat some lunch, two bites out of my sandwich. I just try to put the quantity of springtails and lower humidity if possible if I have fungus gnats. I'm hoping, talked about that. More lunches. I'd like to do this every week, a Wednesday. Now, we've had some Wednesday lives at night, so that's kind of taken a bite out of things. I think we had something else, so we missed a couple of Wednesdays, but I'd like to do this every Wednesday. It's fun. I like the Thursday interviews. So I had some difficulty kind of balancing my long form videos, geckos and isopods, with lives and which ones do. So this is a schedule. I'd like to do a long form Tuesdays, lunch on Wednesday, and a live talking with a gecko or isopod or a panel expert on Thursday. So, and if something comes up like a product review, maybe I'll throw that in on a Monday or Friday. So that's kind of my schedule. I hope it fits everybody. Love these lunches. Love it. Love talking about this. And this is what we do, is we help each other. So, and Jen is saying people sometimes forget that bioactive includes a bunch of invisible processes in the soil with beneficial bacteria and fungus. It just takes time to start off. Yes. Again, this is so many years of keeping fish. That's where I learned. That's where I got my feet wet with some of the more scientific things going on in a fish tank. And that applies 110% to isopod enclosures and gecko enclosures. When you talk about bioactive, it's not about the isopods. When somebody says, hey, I just started my enclosure, put in all the substrate and everything, I put in the isopods to make it bioactive, that don't mean a thing. It's all about the substrate and it maturing and developing some of these invisible processes. Thank you, Darth. Droth. I'm saying that, I think I've said that wrong all day here. Droth. Well, he needs to finish his lunch. Yeah. As long as I'm blabbing, I'm not finishing my lunch. I feel like when I take a bite that I stop talking, and you guys probably love that, but I feel like the dead air isn't the right thing to do. Bioactive is my favorite way of keeping reptiles. I like the lunch format. Thank you very much. I like it too. We're going to keep doing this. Okay. Yep. It's like cycling a fish tank. It's exactly like cycling a fish tank. It's exactly. Okay. That's the lesson that we're going to learn today, everybody, is that cycling an isopod enclosure or a bioactive enclosure for geckos or reptiles is exactly like cycling a fish tank. That's our lesson. I'm going to keep that up there for another 2 seconds, probably. Brahma is saying, I have a bioactive that makes the whole enclosure an interesting display in ecosystem instead of just a reptile. Yes, absolutely. I have no idea what this is. Wally, give us some ASMR. As soon, I don't know what that means. ASMR. What is ASMR? I don't know. Okay, Derek is saying, I've gotten into growing seedling cactus. I've added my springtails to counter the mildew. Hadn't seen them used at the plant in the plant hobby. They use fungicides. Yeah. See, Derek, and right or wrong, I might be 100% wrong here, but I have always, again, cutting my teeth on fish, I've always hesitated putting anything unnatural in a fish tank. It just throws off the balance. I feel it's easy to throw off the balance in a fish tank if you start adding unnatural things, in my mind. And again, taking that over to the isopod world feels like the same exact thing. You're just throwing things off. Frank is laughing at me. I don't know what the ASMR is, but it's been a blast, folks. Frank, let me know what ASMR means, and I'm going to let you all go so that you, if you have a lunch and you haven't eaten it yet, have a whole sandwich here, folks. If you haven't eaten it yet, I wish you a happy lunch, an enjoyable rest of the week. We have a special guest coming on tomorrow, Jim Stelflug, Southwest Wisconsin Reptiles. This is going to be fun because he's going to talk about snakes, and I know nothing about snakes. So I need you guys to help me with questions because I'm going to go, Jim, how's it going? Tell us about yourself. Tell us about snakes. And then it's like, okay, I don't have anything else to ask you because I don't know anything about snakes. Okay. Derek is saying, ASMR, those people making sounds into microphones for reaction. Oh, really? So Frank was asking me. I lost it. So that's what I need to do, folks. Did that have any effect at all? No, probably not. On that note, have a good day, folks. Enjoy your lunch. Bye-bye, everyone.